It's late October in South Florida, Zone 10B. I wanted to do a walkthrough of my food forest this morning, um, just to take you through different things that are growing and kind of some of the cleanup I've done from the summer. The summer was super hot. I've had no time, or should I say, I did not want to be out in the heat at all to do any kind of gardening or videoing. So basically, this is our good season. The temperatures are now kind of like 80 during the days and, 70 at night. So beautiful time. But starting off here, I have on the side of my home just some rose bush and some pineapple that I've been planting. The pineapples are kind of in a row here along the side. There's a lot of Spanish needle or ibis alba, I think we call it, that is popping up everywhere in my yard. It has almost become a weed anymore. But those are the pineapples. But before I continue on in that section, I just want to move around here a little bit to show you my raised bed. Um, Over the summer, this had a lot of basil and stuff growing, but I've since pulled them out. They've kind of gotten woody and weedy. And basically, my raised bed looks a little disheveled, but basically, I put some banana stuff, peel and banana bark that I had chopped down some bananas. I added some compost from my compost bin. I mixed some soil, different types of soil, black cow soil and some in-ground soil and just some core, some different types of soil to create more of a nutritious kind of base. And then I covered all this with some green banana leaves to kind of break down everything in there. In about 3 weeks or so, I'll start planting. But basically, that's my method. I have another video I'm going to post on how I do that, the raised bed. But basically, taking, dried leaves, grass, clippings, different stuff, throwing in here, and then letting it break down a little bit more before I start planting. Over here, in this bald spot. I've had some challenges planting here where I've putting okras and they develop root knot nematoids. So I literally put in some mustard seeds because I hear that if you cut that into the soil, it will eventually help to fight the root knot nematoids. So those little sprouts that you see down there, zoom in a little bit, are mustard seeds that, mixed in with some grass and stuff that I'm hoping will grow in and I'll chop back and mulch into the soil, or should I say sand in South Florida, to help me with controlling some of that root knot nematoids. So that's a little bit about my raised bed. Let me kind of move around here. In this spot over the summer, I had watermelon. And honestly, I went on vacation and came back, and the entire crop was decimated by some vine borers and really got a small amount of watermelons. Whatever I got, I barely ate. I just kind of made them into juice. But this is what I did was to kill the weeds and to kind of start over and build the soil. I laid cardboard down, and then on top of cardboard, I put mulch and stuff to mulch down and hopefully create some better soil for next year when I planting here. I'm thinking I may plant some onions, but maybe not. All right, coming back around to this end where I had the pineapple. Back there in that bin is my compost bin. So I start composting usually around now. And then by the end of the summer, I have nicely developed compost broken down, and I use that in my raised bed and around different plants. Guys, this massive tree here is my yellow coat hog plum. I mean, if I knew this thing grew so large, I would never have put it that close to my house. But we'll see. I didn't want to cut it back because I hear it produces on new growth. So after it produces in I guess March, that time frame, I'll then cut it back. But massive tree. All right. Found these buckets along the road. Picked them up. I think they're about 20 inches wide, so that was a good find. I'm thinking of doing some fruit trees in pots, but trying to figure out how I'd keep them watered in the hot summers in South Florida. All right, trying to move a little bit quicker here so this video is not as long. As you can see, this hot plum tree is literally covering my walkway, but I'm gonna let it be again to see if I can get some fruit this year. Coming here around the side is just some papayas. I had planted papayas a while back, and I shouldn't say a while back because it's probably about a year and a half or 2 years now. Nice production. This is the Red Lady variety, so it has really good production. Underneath it, I have some Scotch bonnet peppers that really was taken over by white flies, so I cut them back. And nice to see that, added some compost, worm casting. Nice to see that they're coming back. I don't know how well they'll do, but I like how they look right now with nice green leaves, etc. So they're looking much better. Guys, as you can see, stuff kind of thrown around, but I'm cleaning up. This is a Suriname cherry, black Suriname cherry. I have a plant on the other side of the house, saved seeds, planted some seeds. And here is another plant. It's about 2 years old now, so it does well in the shade, and I'm always trying to find plants that will do well in the shade. So this is one that does well for me. Some people don't like the fruit, but the black Suriname cherry is probably going to be the best one out there. That's really nice, I think, really nice and edible. Coming around to my massive papaya trees. Oh, wow. All right, so guys, I got to figure out because these things are probably getting taller than my house. But I now got to figure out a way to kind of cut them. I saw somewhere in Asia where that when they're younger, they slit the bark and lay them down on the side. And for some reason, the papaya keeps growing. I guess very resilient tree and literally produces while laying down on its side. So I may try that at some point. But these trunks are massive. My God, they're probably 6 inches across, probably 10 to 12 inches in diameter. I mean, they're huge if you look at the trunk. But what I like is that it did put out a second sprout down here and it's flowering. So I don't know. There's a lot of male flowers there, but maybe I'll get some papayas from it. We'll see. But this is definitely a good height. This is about 3 feet from the ground. So that would be a good height to collect papayas instead of going up. I'm actually scared now getting up on a ladder to go reach those. So I got to figure out what to do with those. Moving around, this is a sweet sop that I planted from seed. It's about 3 years in the ground, struggled with white flies, but it's in a pretty shaded area of my garden. I don't have a lot of space, but the leaves are looking really bad because in about a month the leaves will all drop and it will just be going into hibernation then. And then come spring it will come back. So that's why the leaves look terrible. So moving on from my sweet sop or sugar apple tree, on this side I just have a couple of things growing. These were Scotch bonnet peppers that I had to cut back because they were really taken over by white flies. I have some longevity spinach over there. And on this side, I see I have the curry plant. I didn't put it in the ground because I hear that's also something that could take over as well. But I love the smell of it, and I do use it in cooking some Indian dishes. Here's a mango tree that really hasn't produced very well for me over the last years. These were some of the first two trees I put in. I don't know what type of mango it is. I was told that it was a great mango. And not knowing much about Florida, when I moved here, I listened and bought a tree that was probably not the best tree. The trunk was very damaged. That should have told me. But again, I didn't know much about trees. That should have told me that it would have been poor production. A friend of mine came to visit and pointed out that, I was sold a bad tree $150 later. I will say though, the mangoes are great. I've gotten very few from it. The most I ever got from this tree was probably 20 mangoes. So I chopped it back again this year and hopefully we'll see. I also think it may be suffering from some type of disease. I did spray it with some sulfur and I'm gonna watch and see how it does. Um, Again, more pineapples. And there's a second mango tree. This is actually a Juliet. I was told that Julies sometimes don't do well in some areas where I am. So the Juliet, very, very similar to Julie. Very similar. Actually, people can't tell that it's not a Julie tree. So I do like it. This has produced to me. Last year it really didn't do well as well, so I'm not sure. I don't know. I had put in a shed and I keep wondering if the airflow was a little bit blocked and didn't get to them too well. But anyway, it's known as a Christmas loquat. So I'm thinking um, I should have some fruit this year. I did have about 10 fruit off it last year. It was half the size and they were very good. So looking forward to a little better crop this year. And moving along, this is some Mexican sunflower that I planted here and they fell. And apparently they're now growing again from seeds. So self pollinated, not pollinated, volunteered some plants here for me and they're beautiful. The flowers are just gorgeous and bees love them, butterflies love them. So I don't think they'll do well in the cold though. So let's see how long they'll survive. And right here, more papayas. As I mentioned, I had thrown some seeds in the ground and just hope for the best because it took me a while. I couldn't grow papayas for a long time. So I have them all over now, probably too many, but I give a ton away. So here I am now at my soursop tree. I planted this about two, no, about 3 years ago from seed. And basically I moved this planter twice, so I think it stunted its growth. Again, I'm trying to figure out the best locations for some of these trees. I'm no professional. I'm just trying. But love the fruit. It hasn't fruited yet. It did put on a blossom this year and it fell off, so I'm hoping by next year the tree will improve and grow bigger and produce more. This is my June plum tree. It's a dwarf June plum tree, but it has gotten a little out of hand. I trimmed it back at the end of the season. It did start putting on fruit, actually put on a lot of fruit. And here's some of the green ones. I'll show you in another video how I pick them and then let them ripen on the counter. So basically, high producing fruit, high yielding fruit, and probably by December, a lot of these other fruits will have kind of matured, ripened up, and then I can go ahead and wait for these new ones to start producing. Some sugarcane plant, not doing well. I think it needs more water in this area. I don't have a sprinkler back here, and it has been a very dry season. So not doing too well, but love sugarcane. Coming back around, more papayas, as I mentioned. I had thrown a lot of seeds into the ground, pulled out whatever came up, and just stuck with those that were looking healthier. On the story of a bunch of pineapples, again, they're in a more of a shaded spot. Guys, I don't concern myself with weeds anymore because I realize that weeds keep my soil covered so it doesn't get burnt out or depleted by the sun. And the sun here in South Florida is rough. So basically, These pineapples they've produced, they're not as large as they should be, but you know what? I keep the sunniest spots for those trees that need more sun. An aloe vera plant, vervain, love vervain. It's a great chop and drop. It makes great teas. It's good for fevers and colds. And oh, can't remember the name of this one, but it's my butterfly plant, and it brings in a lot of pollination from butterflies and bees. Um, More papaya trees. Back here, I have my sugar apple tree or sweet sap tree. This one is a big producer, but I went away over the summer, and I'm telling you, talk about white fly infestation. This tree took a hit. Look at all the underleaves here, and still struggling. So I let it be. It will drop all its leaves soon, and then in the spring, I literally cut it back to half its size, and cutting actually helps it to produce. But I do need to spray, and all these leaves that fall to the ground, I'll pick them up, sweep them up, and get rid of them. Because I do believe sometimes these insects hibernate in the soil and come back. Another vervain plant that rooted itself into the ground. It was in a pot, and I forgot to move the pot, and it rooted itself. I think this is some type of lily. I don't know, but I'm just gonna let it stay and see if it blossoms. It's just pretty. Nice statement plant. I wish I could move it, but now it's kind of in the ground. Again, more papayas. Guys, look at the height of these trees. I mean, I'm holding the camera above my head. I gotta figure out how to get them to be smaller. Right here is my East Indian mango tree. Guys, this tree at about 5 feet produced like crazies this past summer. Actually, it produced way better than the big mango trees I showed you earlier. I got 12 East, not 12, about 20 East Indian mangoes off this tree. And I'm talking big mangoes, 6 inches or more. So loving this tree. I did give it a trim after it produced. So I'm hoping and looking forward to good results coming this summer. You know, this might be some type of disease, so I'm actually going to come out here and cut these off. And I know sometimes people spray with sulfur, but we'll see. Um, this actually is another spot in my garden that really struggled with root knot nematodes. Anything I plant here just doesn't grow. As you can see, it's pretty bare. But I did throw some mustard seeds like I did in the other area. Guys, let me tell you about this tree. This is my Brogdon avocado tree. And another tree I moved about 3 times trying to get the right spot for it. And it flourished here, so I left it. But it fruited for the first time this year, probably back in March. And it had about 20 avocados, but all fell and it held 2. And these 2 were on the tree for a while. And, you know, I read up about it, and it says avocado needs to mature on the tree, then you can pick them and they ripen on the counter. Well, I left this on for the last maybe 7 months or so, and it was 2 beautiful avocados. I came out to pick them yesterday, and let me tell you, an animal got to it. A critter ate into and left half eaten, 2 half eaten avocados on the tree. I was so disappointed. However, the joys of gardening. Next year, again, I'll even bag them this time maybe, or pick them sooner. I just wasn't sure when to pick them. Lemongrass, one of the good grasses that I love to cook with, make tea with. Some more avocados. Um, Coming back around. Oh, the sun has gotten a little brighter again. But I'm probably gonna stop videoing and come back because sometimes the sun creates such a terrible glare. But over in this corner, I have my butterfly plant. I can't remember the name of it. It's a native firebush. It's a native plant to South Florida or to Florida. And this attracts all kind of butterflies and bees. So I love this plant. This is a stick of a guava tree that's left. Didn't do well. It's a pink ruby supreme. and it just died. I cut it back, then I cut it some more, and it's just sitting here. I don't know if it's because it's in the shade, but I'm gonna probably remove it, put it in a pot, cut it back, and see if it will come back. This is the lemon drop guava, a bush, small bush tree. I love the height that it doesn't get any bigger. It's kind of that bush type, produces heavily. So I decided to keep it in the garden. It actually was a mispick from the grower where I bought it. And when I went back, they gave me a good exchange for this guava that didn't do well. So we'll see. More pollination in terms of flowers. Here's a rosemary plant that I stuck back here because I realized the one I have closer to my home gets full sun and it just doesn't do well. But here are some additional pineapples growing in the understory. I have a lot of pineapple, guys, but I'm gonna pause here and come back a little bit later because I think the sun is gonna be too bright and create too much of a glare when I video. So see you again shortly. Here I am on the other side of the guava tree, um, looking at a taro right here. I planted that in the spring and it looked terrible during the summer. All the leaves were brown and faded, and I almost yanked it out. But now I realize it probably needs a little bit of a cooler heat to do well. And this, guys, this is what we call a rose apple tree. It has been years since I had this fruit or seen it. And somebody had a plant. I bought it from them. And I will tell you that I'm super excited. I don't know though. It was just growing bigger and bigger and bigger and not producing. So I cut it back aggressively. And as you can see, the top is more fluffy and less willowy and long. But I'm hoping it will produce sometime soon because I really don't have time to have fruit trees sitting in my yard for 10 years without doing anything because I just don't have the space. Over here is what's left of a pigeon pea. I had a big tree. I cut it back to give the rose apple and this vicus. It's a flowering tree. It literally, in the summer, puts out these long spiky blooms that are purple. And this plant is supposed to be good for like women with, menstrual issues or stuff like that. But I really haven't tried it, but I just love it because it's a nice pollinator for the bees. My coconut tree, whoa, tall tree, way over my head. This is another one that's gonna have to come down soon. Unfortunately, it was supposed to be a dwarf coconut tree, but I guess there's nothing known as dwarf. So nice coconuts though. It's one of my favorite drinks. So I like drinking those, but that may have to go. It's too tall. I have a fig tree here that has been in a pot for years, some little fruits on it. Never did great for me. I know I can't put it in the ground because of the nematoids. However, I also think I need to spend more time taking care of it, like watering it and giving nutrients. I literally just can't keep up with the stuff in the pots over the summer. So hot. This is a custard apple tree that I actually bought from someone and struggling with whiteflies. If you look under the leaves, just tons of it. I've sprayed it with neem oil, but it's almost like I would be able to control it if I came out every 4 days or so and spray it because I spray it, then I come back, they're back, really bad. But I'm gonna keep fighting with this tree because I do love the custard apples and the rose apples. So, and by the way, this tree, when I bought it, I thought it was dead and I gave it a big chop and forgot to throw it out of the bucket. That was where I chopped it, right here. And basically, about 8 months later, I was about to toss it and realized it started springing again and regrowing. So, by some chance, I still have this tree, so I'm just gonna keep fighting to keep it alive. Some um, pineapple plants again. And guys, look, I finally got my ackee tree. Ackee and bacalhau saltfish is Jamaica's national dish. And this year, there was a shortage of canned ackees in the store. And I decided, you know what, no matter where, I'm going to find a space to put a tree. So here's my tree. I bought it at about 12 inches. It's now about 36, 48 inches tall. So that's good. My cassava plants. Um, each year I reap my cassava. Got some really nice bags full. I actually had 2 gallon-sized Ziploc bags full that I peeled, cut up, and have in the freezer. And whenever I'm ready, I just pull it out and use it. So good plant to have, but I only keep 2 of those each year. Coming around my Barbados cherry tree. This is a cherry tree that I love to come to every morning and pick a couple of cherries for breakfast. The challenge for me is the bees are always all over it in the mornings, so I'm not able to really pick them then. But this is the time I come out to pick because the bees go home when it starts getting late and dark. So this is when they don't bother me. But this is my Barbados cherry tree. And I do chop this back to half its size or more at the end of every season. My starfruit tree, another tall one that needs to be controlled. I literally just harvest a ton off of this. I do a lot of juicing. I make a lot of juice from these starfruits. They give me a good crop at least 3 times a year. It bears, crops off, then it starts producing again. And as you can see, there's star fruits on it, but now there's new flowers. So it just keeps giving. Great treat to have if you're looking for some instant gratification of getting fruits and something bearing fruits immediately or quickly. My banana patch, um, I've had some really good results from this. Here is a small one now at the end of October. Sometimes if it gets too cold, the banana will just sit on the tree for months until it warms up. So here's another one, if you can see it back here, that's hanging in my neighbor's yard. It doesn't want to bear anywhere else but in my neighbor's yard. But anyway, I do have something exciting to show you. Look what I have growing under the banana trees. It's actually a cacao plant. Actually, growing up in Jamaica, my grandfather had a lot of these trees, and they grew in the understory of really large, bigger trees. So when I thought of planting this, I thought, where could I put this? And it's pretty shaded. I have some Cluisa as a hedging, but and bananas, so it's kind of growing under the protection of that. But as you can see, I cut the bananas when they bear, and I cut down the bananas. I literally take the branches, guess you can call it branches, and pile them around the banana trees themselves for additional moisture and nourishment. And I figure I'd put some around the cacao plant or cocoa tree, as we say in Jamaica. Putting some around these so they can get some continuous moisture and the ground will be nice. I mulch it a lot. I think in the winter, I'm going to have to bag it or put something over it to protect it from the cold. But beautiful tree. And I'm just hoping that it's going to do okay and survive the winter. And eventually, as it gets bigger, it probably can withstand more of the cold. Last but not least, I have some, um, I talked about this on the other side where these are the black Suriname cherry. These are the bigger trees that produce for me in the spring. And typically, I don't let them grow that big, but again, the bigger the tree, the bigger the production. So cut it out of my walkway, but I'm going to go ahead and let it see what it does this year. And then after it grows and produce, I'm going to cut it back and let it grow up again for next year. So guys, that is all. This is a view from the side of my house, the banana trees, the starfruit, Barbados cherry. Oh, I do have one last thing to show you real quick. This is passion fruit. So I went ahead and decided that I couldn't put the passion fruit in the ground because I heard it would take over and shoot up all over the garden. And again, not having too much space, I decided to buy this tent from Amazon and then plant it from seeds in 2 grow bags. And they've been bearing. Last year I got a nice crop from the plants. And this year, as you can see, I still have some good fruit production here and hoping to get a nice crop. It has dropped a lot of fruit though. And this plant on this side has been a little less productive. Even this year, I see it only has about 8 or 9 fruit on it. While the other one that looked terrible in the summer has quite a few fruits on it. So guys, this is the end of my video. This is my little wind chime. Makes beautiful noise. But this is just a quick video of my backyard. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and grow something, plant something today, and enjoy. Bye.